Just kneeling down here looking at the tread on my tires, noticing that I'm still above the tread wear indicators. It's pretty crazy, huh? And I'm just poking around, looking at the suspension and the steering box. I went to the car wash and the guy sprayed my suspension. Black paint, fluid film, new steering box. Not very tight, still has some play in it. And then, while I'm down here on my hands and knees looking at the chrome that Pisser took off to doing the nice paint job, I noticed there's a lot of ants moving around here, little baby ants. People make videos of all kinds of things, but you never see the real close-up details, like what kind of rock they use to make the tarmac. Sometimes it's pink rock. And sometimes you got millions of ants crawling over that pink rock. Yep, that's ants. That's a mass of ants. Yep. Yep, I just lost my balance. I wonder what they're nibbling on there. Pretty interesting, huh? Things you don't notice. You think, well, I'll go to the country maybe and enjoy some fresh air and listen to the coyotes howl. Then you get there and you lie on the ground and the ants start crawling all over you. Pretty crazy. What are they eating? Anyways, they've been interrupting the radio with weather service warnings of thunder, lightning, hail, vermin, bugs, pestilence. It's been lightning and thundering. The temperatures come way down to probably 25 Celsius. Then I look down the street and I see that they got the street blocked off. Emergency vehicles, and there's a fire truck down there and police cars. There's a guy, a flag guy, and I have no idea what's going on. There's some welfare case housing down there. Not my apartment building. We don't rent to no stinking welfare cases. I was just thinking about it. We have a manager of Big Lots, McDonald's, Target, Friendly's restaurant. Just thinking about it. Running a high-class operation. GMC. Anyhow, what I was going to tell you after you finished looking at this swarm of ants, what I was going to tell you was I fixed my problem with the battery. Where when I took off the passenger side battery and cranked from my driver's side battery, it went roar. So I went to Wally World. They gave me a brand new battery because they're warranted for 3 years. Free replacement, no questions asked. So I got a brand new battery. Yeah, there's an incident happening. Channel 5 is here. Yippee! They're going to put up their big satellite dish and broadcast live. Somebody shot somebody on my street. Maybe they caught a bank robber or a pharmacy stalker or some crap. Yep, Channel 5 is here. Fox News, a Hearst Corporation. I went to see Hearst Castle in California. Anyhow, so I put the new battery in and I disconnected the passenger side battery, which on a regular Chevy gas is the only battery you get. And I turned the key with a brand new battery and it went roar. And if you do that, you burn up the starter. Like lots of current or no current. So I was sitting here looking at it yesterday thinking, what the heck is going on? Cables were new when I bought the truck 5 years ago. And they don't corrode in 5 years, and I keep them greased up, and I got the negative here that goes right to the block. And I got the positive here that goes to the starter, and I got the positive here that comes from this battery, and I checked my cables, they're nice and clean. I checked the connections like that bolt with a nut to tighten it down, because the threads in the battery are real crap. And this negative one goes to the block. So looking at it, well, there's a little nut down there, and I can't get to that nut. So I took it apart, and there's got a lead spacer in between because the metal connector is buried inside the rubber. I've got the proper GM lead spacer that I just bought a bunch of from my local Napa that's going out of business. I tightened it back up, and I tightened it a lot, and I turned the key. I disconnected this, so these are still squeezed, squishy together in the lead connector with the bolt, the nut, the lead. I disconnected that, and I cleaned off the top of the terminal, but I left it off, and I turned the key, and it went, I said, yeah, baby! I'll show you. I'll disconnect the fuel injection solenoid, no power, no start, and I'll disconnect the glow plugs. And while we wait for it to rain, while I avoid painting the ceiling in the hallway that I don't really want to paint. And Mrs. CW says, "You gotta paint the ceiling, the guy's fussy." I said, "You just got a friggin'..." Yeah, treatment center. Anyway, so, both batteries, solenoid disconnected for the glow plugs, solenoid disconnected for the injection pump, and let's crank her up and see how she sounds now with two good batteries. Pretty good, huh? Now, oh, something burning. Yeah, I smell it. There goes the starter. Yep, remember that smoke you saw when I started it during the winter? Some smoke came off the starter. We weren't sure what it was. Yep. You saw it, and I friggin' smell it. It's as dry as the drought in the Midwest, in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois. Bad. Yeah, thousands of acres of corn, millions of acres. Corn's not doing good. Still, soybean may do a bit better because it pollinates over a longer period of time. So I'm going to have to rebuild this starter. It's a Napa Lifetime that was put in just before I bought the truck in the summer of 2007. And it's got 30, I bought the truck with, how's our ants doing? They're spreading out. Bought this truck with 234, now it's got 267. I've put on 33,000 miles, which is 55,000 kilometers in 4 years. I didn't drive it the first year. So let's crank her up, cool off that starter. Yep, that starter's gonna go fry, baby. Crank her up! Woo! Feel the heat. Click, 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 click. Alright, enough of that. My remanufactured master cylinder is working perfectly. I had that for 5 years sitting on the shelf. Works perfectly. Nice high brake pedal. Now, something else I need. Some friends in Virginia and Port Orange, Florida said they're going to junkyards, Daytona Beach. They're going to get me some parts. I'm going to look for that center support for my 93 pickup that I'm sure was there, but I'm probably dreaming. Also, I need something else if you guys want to help me out and get some parts that you can't get around here. My rear air conditioning is leaking, and there's the T for the rear air conditioning. See? This goes to the front air conditioning, and then it tees off to go to the back. I want to take that nut off and crimp that shut, or JB weld it shut, but I don't want to really cut this truck, because once I cut that, you can't repair it unless you got a crimping tool for the hose. It's a whole big PIA. So if I had that nut and that length of hose there, if someone could just take a grinder or a sawzall or even a hacksaw blade in their hand, just cut that right there. Or maybe cut the rubber hose further, and I'll go to the hose place that makes new hoses, hydraulic hoses, and he'll put a cap in there, and I could just thread that back on and cancel my rear air while still leaving it in place if I want to have my rear air ever, which I probably won't bother. Then the one for the that's the return line is the big one. The high pressure down here, same thing. There's the nut right there. I need a little bit of the pipe, and it only has 3 or 4 inches, 10 centimeters. So it goes to the rubber, which goes all the way to the back of the vehicle. This is the high pressure supply, which will be hot until it hits the orifice expansion tube. Then there's the return, and I'll show you where my hole is, where it's leaking. And I could probably fix it, but I don't know. I hate to charge it back up with valuable R12. I was underneath here last week looking at this. There's the drip leg. There's the high pressure supply, and there's the low pressure return. The return is always cold, and the supply is always hot till it hits the expansion orifice tube. Anyways, when I filled it up with R12 last year, I had air conditioning for a couple of days, and then it got warm. So I went underneath the back here, and I found it leaking right from the bottom where a bit of moisture collected in the system. There isn't supposed to be moisture in the system, but there was. So it'll need to be vacuumed, but I was thinking of converting it to R134, just for simplicity's sake. I could always put the R12 in, it's a lot simpler, but I hate to waste the $35 a pound or whatever it costs now. But anyways, I got a pinhole here. Just a little hole in the bottom. Whoops. Alright. Got a little hole in the bottom of that hose. I JB welded it, but it leaked. It's only the low pressure. Maybe if I vacuum it, maybe that's the hole right there. Maybe it's right there. It's not much of a hole. Maybe if I vacuumed the system and took the pressure out of it, and then I put the JB weld in it while I was vacuuming it. Vacuuming it's free. You can vacuum it forever. You need to vacuum it for an hour or two, but I usually vacuum overnight. How's things going down the street? How's our incident? Yeah, light's still flashing. Ranger Mazda sales are in the pits. They don't make enough vehicles in the States, and the Japanese yen is too high. Doesn't look like we're going to get that lightning and thunder. They've been talking about it for an hour. I just came from the post office. I mailed off Spike Punk, the manual for the 4L80E. We put a sprag in backwards, I think. A very easy mistake to make when you're not as experienced as we'd hoped we'd be. So that's why he's got the transmission. He's going to take it apart and see if that sprag is in the correct direction. So I got my battery problem solved. The starter is junk, you know that. And I got to go back and paint my ceiling. Joy to the world.